Now, Daytime on 2 looks at various people who are going to work outdoors.
Not the best of weather, especially if you work outdoors. But as a carpenter with the local council, Mark has to put up with it. Cold and wet are just another part of a varied job.
The main amount of work is maintenance on the houses, repairs to doors and door frames, repairs to windows, re-roofing flat roofs, repairing joists, even down on the beach, repairing the pier. It's quite varied and I find it very enjoyable. I got on quite well. I enjoyed it at school, enjoyed the sports and practical subjects. Academically I didn't get on too well, but I managed to scrape through, and yeah, generally I did enjoy it. I was very interested in pottery and creative things. I like designing and art, so I wasn't really interested in woodwork at all then. At school I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was very open-minded. And the apprenticeship opportunity came up and I thought I'd apply for it, so I did, and here I am. Obviously in the winter it can get a bit bitter and you can get a bit cheesed off, but you got the benefits. You got the nice weather in the summer and you can get out and suntan yourself, put your shorts on. So it swings and roundabouts. You have to put up with the bad, and you get some good days as well.
Obviously, Mark enjoys working outside. And that's reflected in his hobbies.
I play a lot of golf at the weekends, if the weather's nice. That's one thing I don't like doing when it's wet. And I'm quite sport orientated. I like to play squash and badminton now and again, and go out for runs.
In Mark's job, he doesn't always get a lot of notice about what he's going to be doing.
Well, sometimes we get told in advance what we're going to do, say a couple of days before we actually get the job, just to get ourselves suitably geared up to do that job, get all the materials ready and all your tools sharpened up and ready, raring to go. But normally we have to go in the morning and we pick up our work day to day, so we never really know each morning what we're going to do.
Apart from the outdoor life, are there any other advantages?
I like the freedom. I've never really wanted to be tied behind a desk. I've always liked to be able to get out and be my own boss and get on with the work, and nobody harasses you.
So, work in the open air can be attractive for all sorts of reasons. In gardens or nurseries like this, the attraction is usually the chance to work with plants. Pauline's in the second year of her apprenticeship. At the moment, she's tagging plants ready for sale. What brought Pauline into this sort of work?
When I was about 14, I decided that I didn't want to work an office job, and I like gardening, and this seemed the obvious choice, really.
But why this particular job?
Well, when I was little, I used to help Dad in the garden. I decided I like shrubs and things better than vegetables, so I decided to go into sort of gardening.
The apprentices do a variety of jobs. For instance, in winter, there's thousands of trees to be staked up. During training, apprentices change jobs every 6 months. Mind you, there's no escaping the weather. In winter, a nursery can be a pretty uncomfortable place. So which does Pauline prefer, summer or winter?
Well, both have its good points. I mean, in winter, if you're freezing cold, you can just work around, keep warm, but if you're summer and it's hot and you're in the middle of the field, there's nothing really you can do about it.
Although this particular job is fairly easy, most involve a lot of bending and are hard work. Does that bother Pauline?
Well, I used to get really tired out when I first started, but after a while you get used to working outside all the time, and it doesn't tire me out now.
It's often thought that a nursery and, say, a farm are basically the same sort of work. They both have to do with growing things. But apart from both being mainly outdoor work, there's very little comparison.
When I first left school, I was an apprentice as a boat builder, but I got made redundant after about the first month and a half. And then I went on to another youth opportunities scheme that was urban forestry for the Oxford Council.
Go on.
Martin's always wanted to work on a farm.
Well, I've always sort of liked working with animals, and I've known sort of a few people at school and that who were farmers and their farmer sons, and that sort of life interested me. So I sort of, first of all, when I was still at school, I sort of went on Saturdays and weekends to a farm and helped the herdsmen there, doing various jobs.
Farming is hard work, especially in the winter when the cattle aren't out in the fields. Their feed has to be made up, and the straw for their bedding. And if you keep cows in the yard, there are other problems. This is literally part of the daily routine. A farm is no place for the squeamish. And as if this isn't enough, how does Martin feel about the winter weather?
Well, if it's absolutely pouring down, then we try and do as many jobs inside as we can. But normally just put your leggings on and you're outside. But weather doesn't affect me that much, it doesn't worry me.
It doesn't worry him at work, and it doesn't worry him for his hobbies.
I've got a motocross bike, or scrambler, as some people call it, and doing basic maintenance of that and riding it. I ride it most Saturdays if I can.
So what is it about his job that Martin likes best?
It's outside for the main reason. As I said, I like working with animals. And this whole environment just suits me.
Bognor Regis Beach on a cold Wednesday in March. Not exactly everybody's idea of a holiday paradise. Nothing much happens in any seaside resort in the winter. But come summer, and things are very different. Summer brings people. A whole seafront industry has been built up around the needs of the tourist. Places to stay, things to eat, things to do. Things to do like, say, a ride on the pedalos. This sort of work is nearly always done by young people, like Heath. How long has Heath been here?
Well, full-time just since I left school about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But, you know, part-time for a couple of years before now, I've been working down here. Well, really, it just, we get down here at about 9:30 in the morning. That's the time we're meant to start. We wait around till, say, 10:15, and then we unchain all the boats which are up the beach, push them down onto the trolley, wheel them down to the water's edge, and then put them in the water's edge. One person's on the table, and the other two put the boats out and keep an eye on them to check they're not too far away and whistle them in and all this sort of thing. Generally keep an eye on them. OK, a boat. Safe to be. Thanks a lot. OK, when you go out, just head that way because it's rather windy, OK? So in that direction. Number 8.
And even when people get out in the pedalos, Heath still has to keep an eye on them. What sort of things can go wrong?
The wind gets stronger as you go out, and they can be taken away. And if the wind's in one direction, they can be swept right down the other end of the beach. That sort of thing. Generally, people getting tired out and they can't make it back, so you have to go down and collect them, all that sort of thing. Well, if it's not too far, you can walk out, because when it's low tide, the water's very, very, shallow. But otherwise, it's out in a pedalo or we've got a little rescue boat, that we do use sometimes.
The problem with seafront work is that it doesn't last all year. So, what's Heath going to do when summer comes to an end?
When the season ends, which will be in September, I'll start going down the boatyard and starting to learn to do fiberglassing, fiberglass boats, car frames and all that sort of thing, anything involved in fiberglassing.
What's special about his job?
Well, mainly the fresh air and everything, and the meeting of new people. You meet so many people down here, all different ages. Whereas, so if I worked in a factory or something like that, you'd be stuck with the same people, say 3 or 4 people if it was a small place, all day, every day sort of thing. Whereas here, you don't just see the same people, so you meet a wide range of people, as it were, and you can handle people better, You enjoy the weather when it is sunny, and you get suntan and all this. But that's not all of it, Some days we do stand down there and it is very cold, and because you have to wear shorts because you can't wear trousers. Just standing down there with freezing cold legs. But you don't really mind because there's a lot of days that are nice, so they make up for it, really. People think it's great, it'd be a great laugh working down there all the time, but it's not as easy as they think, It is hard work involved. Sometimes you do stand here and you're cold and you don't get many people all day. And you just stand there and you move the boats up and down and it's rough and it takes both of you to hold the boat to get the people in. And it's not as much fun as it seems.
So, outdoor work in the summer clearly isn't just one long sunbathe. In the 6 months since we last saw Martin, he's changed farms.
I finished the 6-month scheme on the last farm, and I've came here on another 6 months to get a bit more training.
No dairy cows here. This is a different kind of farm.
It's 116 acres. There's about 100 head of beef. We've got 25 acres of wheat, 25 acres of barley, 6 acres of potatoes. That's about it, really.
Complex, highly specialised machinery is needed to harvest those crops. Routine servicing of the machines is something that Martin has had to learn. The big job at this time of year is harvesting, and that's entirely at the mercy of the weather. You can't just harvest when you want to.
No, it's the conditions have got to be right. It's not much point doing it when it's soaking wet. You've got to get it to a certain moisture content, which is around about 16%.
Martin's life is really not his own at the moment. The harvest always comes first. Everybody's around from literally sunrise to sunset. No chance is missed. And harvesting is not the easiest or most pleasant of jobs.
It's not too bad. I mean, there is a certain amount of dust, depending on what job you're doing, but I enjoy it that much. It doesn't really worry me. You expect to work hard and you just get on with it, really.
You've got to have that sort of attitude if you want to work on a farm. It's not a life of luxury. Mind you, with 40,000 rose bushes to attend to this summer, neither is life on the nursery. Pauline is still moving round as part of her training.
I've been hand weeding, I've been staking and tying, we've been pruning, and we've been making some sun frames for the propagation unit so that the cuttings that have just been rooted can go into them. And then we came on to rose budding.
What is rose budding?
The roses, which won't root very well if you just sort of planted them, have to be planted on a rootstock which has got good roots. The neck of the rootstock has to be kept moist so that it's soft to be cut into, and so the earth, when they're planted, is piled around it, and then just before they're budded, someone comes along and cleans all the earth away. So you take the rootstock and you make an incision in the rootstock, a T-incision, T-shaped one, and then you get budwood from the normal rose, and I take a bud out of that and put it in the T-incision and then tie it up.
Does Pauline enjoy work more in summer or winter?
Well, the both have their disadvantages. I mean, summer's nice and warm and you get nice tan and all that, but if it is hot, there's nothing you can really do about it, whereas winter, you're usually doing strenuous jobs and so you keep warm.
So apparently it can get too hot in the summer, and there's nothing you can do about it. Perhaps that's one of the unexpected disadvantages of outdoor work. Mind you, some people really do enjoy the summer. What sort of things has Mark been doing?
We've got a lot of flat roofs, leaking roofs and that, which you can get up on top and get your shirts off, put your shorts on. It's good fun, that is.
Whilst he's working on the seafront, repairing sheds and seats, is Mark in danger of being a tourist attraction himself?
No, they're all right, actually. They leave you to get on with your work. Some of them come up to you and ask you what you're doing, but on the whole, they leave you to get on with it.
Judging by his suntan, Mark presumably enjoys the summer and the sunshine.
Yeah, you can't beat it. I wouldn't like to work in an office or anything like that at all, not in the summer. It's lovely to just walk around, do a little bit of work, which you get paid for, but it's nice to be able to work outside, fresh air, get a bit of a suntan. Well, it saves paying for a sauna bath or anything like that. It does get a bit hot.
Despite the hard work, despite the changing weather, for some people, outdoor work is just the thing.
I wouldn't work inside. I'd always want to work outside, using my tools. It's good fun.